Captain Hyun stared at the view screen with tired eyes. The stars looked the same as they always did. Cold, distant, empty. He had been patrolling the edge of the Terran exclusion zone for 3 months now, and nothing ever happened here. Nothing ever would. "Captain, do you really think humans existed?" asked his young navigation officer. The kid was fresh from the academy, still full of questions about old legends. Hyun shrugged. "Maybe, maybe not. Does it matter? They're gone now. Have been for 400 years. The bridge crew murmured in agreement. Everyone in the galaxy knew the story. Humans had once lived on thousands of worlds. They built cities, ships, and colonies across this entire region of space. Then one day they just vanished. Some said it was a plague. Others said they destroyed themselves in a war. The Galactic Council declared the whole area off limits and called it the Terran Exclusion Zone. No one was allowed to enter. No one ever came out. I heard they were warriors, another crew member said. The stories say they fought with honor and protected the weak. Stories, Hyun muttered. That's all they are. Ghosts and fairy tales to scare children. His console beeped. Hyun frowned. There was an energy signature near the zone's edge. It was faint, barely visible on sensors. He should report it and move on. That was protocol, but something made him curious. Take us closer, he ordered. Slowly, the ship moved forward. The energy signature grew stronger. Then they saw it. A massive ship drifted in space, dark and silent. It was unlike any design Hyun had ever seen. The hull was smooth, almost organic looking. Strange symbols covered its surface. What is that? Someone whispered. I don't know, Hyun said. Scan it. The scans revealed the ship was old. Very old. 4 centuries at least. But it was still intact. The crew held their breath as Hyun made his decision. We're going inside. Across the galaxy, in the gleaming towers of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Nari sat quietly in her seat. She looked like dozens of other species in the chamber. Humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs. Unremarkable. That was exactly how she wanted it. The council was debating trade routes when a message flashed on her private screen. Nari's heart skipped a beat. It was encrypted, using a code only a handful of people in the galaxy knew. She opened it carefully, making sure no one was watching. The Krovar are moving. They plan to invade the exclusion zone. Fleet assembly begins in 2 weeks. Nari kept her face calm, but inside she was screaming. The Krovar Dominion was the most aggressive military power in the galaxy. They had conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved millions. Now they wanted to harvest the resources of the Terran exclusion zone. The council wouldn't stop them. After all, everyone believed the zone was empty, but it wasn't empty. Nari knew the truth. She had lived it her whole life. She was human, and humanity was very much alive. Deep inside the exclusion zone, on a world called New Busan, Admiral Yuna stood before a wall of screens. Each one showed a different part of the galaxy. She had been watching for 40 years, just like her mother before her and her grandmother before that. The humans had been watching for 4 centuries, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. That moment was coming whether they wanted it or not. The Krovar are assembling 10,000 warships, reported her intelligence officer. They'll cross into the zone within a month. Yuna nodded slowly. She was a small woman, but her presence filled the command center. Everyone looked to her for guidance. She had led the Silent Guard, humanity's defense fleet, for 2 decades. She had hoped never to use it. Convene the War Council, she said quietly. It's time to decide. Captain Hyun floated through the derelict ship, his suit lights cutting through the darkness. The inside was as strange as the outside. Everything was designed for beings his size, his shape. The air had leaked out centuries ago, but the structure remained sound. He found what he was looking for in the ship's data core. It took hours to access the old systems, but finally, files began to appear on his portable screen. Ship logs, personal journals, records of a colony mission that left Earth in 2447. Earth. Hyun knew that name from legends. The human homeworld. He read through the files with growing excitement. These weren't just stories. This was proof. Humans had existed. They had lived and loved and dreamed just like any other species. The logs ended abruptly 400 years ago with a simple message. We're going home. The Great Retreat begins now. May future generations understand why we chose silence over extinction. What did that mean? What were they retreating from? Hyun copied everything and returned to his ship. He should report this to his superiors immediately. This was the greatest archaeological find in galactic history. But something told him to wait. Something told him to be careful. On New Busan, the War Council met in a chamber carved deep into the planet's crust. 15 leaders from across humanity's hidden worlds gathered around a circular table. They argued for hours. "We can't reveal ourselves," said President Doyen. "We've survived by staying hidden. The moment we show our faces, every power in the galaxy will want a piece of us." "And if we do nothing?" Admiral Yuna countered. "The Krovar will strip mine our sacred worlds. They'll desecrate Earth itself. Is that what we want?" General Minho shook his head. "If we fight the Krovar, others will see our weapons, our ships, our technology. We'll become a target." "We're already a target," said Dr. Sumi, the chief scientist. "The Krovar won't stop at the zone. Once they take our worlds, they'll want more. Better we stop them now, on our terms." The debate raged until midnight. Finally, they voted. 6 leaders raised their hands for intervention. 5 against. It was decided. Humanity would return to the galaxy. Admiral Yuna sent encrypted orders across the hidden network. On 12 worlds, underground hangars opened for the first time in centuries. Ships that had waited in darkness powered up their engines. Crews that had trained in secret prepared for the moment they never thought would come. Ambassador Nari received her orders on the council floor. She was to prepare the galaxy, to soften the shock of what was coming. She thought about how to do that and smiled. She had an idea. In space, Captain Hyun made his choice. He sent the data he'd found to his ship's computer and locked it with his personal code. Then he filed a standard patrol report. Nothing unusual. Nothing to see. But he kept the data safe. Something told him he'd need it soon. The Krovar fleet assembled at their military station. High Warlord Graven stood on his command deck and looked at his armada with pride. 10,000 warships. The largest fleet ever assembled by his people. With this force, he would claim the Terran exclusion zone and become the greatest Krovar in history. "Begin the advance," he ordered. "Target Sol system. The human homeworld. Let's see what treasures the dead left behind." His fleet moved forward, crossing into the exclusion zone. Graven had no idea what waited for him in the darkness. He thought he was invading a graveyard. He didn't know he was walking into a trap. Somewhere deep in the zone, Admiral Yuna watched the Krovar fleet on her screens. She thought about all the years of hiding, all the sacrifices her people had made to survive. Now it would be worth it. "Let them come," she said softly. "Let them think we're a myth. Let them think we're extinct. Then we'll show them the truth." She pressed a button on her console. Across the galaxy, on every screen capable of receiving a signal, a message appeared. It was in every language, every format, every frequency. "You were warned. You did not listen. Humanity remembers. Humanity endures. Humanity protects." The message showed an image of a blue world wrapped in olive branches. Earth. The human homeworld. The galaxy saw it and froze in shock. The myths were real. The ghosts were waking, and nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy went crazy after the message. Every news channel, every government, every species with a screen saw the same thing. The human symbol. The words that promised humanity still lived. For most people, it was impossible to believe. Humans were extinct. Everyone knew that. But the message was real. Someone had sent it. Someone powerful enough to broadcast across the entire galaxy at once. Commander Tai Yang sat in his cockpit, watching his instruments with perfect calm. His ship was invisible to every sensor in the galaxy. It had to be. He was floating just 3 kilometers from a Krovar battleship, and they had no idea he was there. His fighter used quantum phase-shifting technology, something only humans possessed. It made his ship exist slightly out of sync with normal space. Impossible to detect, impossible to hit. "Control, this is Ghost 1, he whispered into his comm. "I count 10,000 Krovar warships. Maybe more. They have planet-killer weapons on the flagship. Confirm orders?" "Confirmed, Ghost 1, came the reply. "Continue observation. Do not engage. Return to base when the fleet crosses the boundary." Taeyang watched the Krovar fleet move like a slow river of metal and fire. Each ship was massive, covered in weapons and armor. Together they could destroy a world. Maybe several worlds. The Krovar thought they were invincible. They had no idea what was waiting for them. He thought about his training, all the years preparing for a war he hoped would never come. Now it was here. He felt no fear, only focus. That's what the neural interface did. It connected his brain directly to his ship's systems. He could think and his ship would respond. No delay, no hesitation. It made human pilots faster than anything else in space. Beginning return flight, he said. His ship turned and accelerated away. The Krovar never knew he'd been there. Ambassador Nari stood before the Galactic Council and felt every eye on her. The chamber was packed. Representatives from 200 species waited to hear what she would say. They wanted answers. They wanted to know if the message was real. Honored Council, she began, her voice steady. I have served in this chamber for 10 years. You know me as a representative of a minor species from the outer rim. Today I tell you the truth. I am human. My people never died. We retreated. We healed, we watched, and now we return. The chamber exploded with noise. Shouting, demands, accusations. Council Speaker Veltrin, a tall being with 4 arms and silver skin, raised his hand for silence. It took several minutes for the chaos to settle. This is quite a claim, Ambassador, Veltrin said carefully. Can you prove it? Nari smiled. Watch your screens. My people are sending coordinates to ancient human sites across the galaxy. Visit them. Use any test you want. You'll find we are who we say we are. Humanity lives. And the Krovar fleet? Another council member demanded. What will your people do about them? We will protect what is ours, Nari said simply. We ask the Krovar to withdraw peacefully. If they refuse, we will make them withdraw. Laughter came from some corners of the chamber. The Krovar had the largest military in the galaxy. How could a hidden people, no matter how advanced, stand against them? Nari didn't laugh. She knew what was coming. She had seen the Ghost Fleet. She had watched the training exercises. The galaxy was about to learn a very hard lesson. On New Busan, Admiral Yuna walked through the command center as her staff worked at their stations. The room hummed with energy and tension. This was it. 400 years of preparation would be tested in the next few days. Status report, she said. All fleet elements ready, replied her tactical officer. 5,000 ships have taken position throughout the Sol system. Another 3,000 are in reserve. The Krovar Vanguard will arrive at Earth in 16 hours. Yuna nodded. Earth. Humanity's birthplace. The Krovar wanted to land there to plant their flag and claim it. They would find something very different waiting for them. Has Dr. Sumi completed the defense grid activation? Yes, Admiral. Every defense system on Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies is online. The Krovar won't see them until it's too late. Yuna allowed herself a small smile. Dr. Sumi was a genius. She had spent 20 years restoring the ancient defense networks that protected Earth. Weapons that looked like ruins. Sensors that appeared to be broken relics. All of it was camouflage. All of it was deadly. And the rest of the galaxy? Are they watching? Every major power has ships observing from outside the system. They'll see everything. Good, Yuna thought. Let them see. Let them understand what humanity had become. High Warlord Graven stood on his command deck and felt satisfaction warm his chest. His fleet had crossed into the Terran exclusion zone without incident. No resistance, no warnings, just empty space and dead worlds. The humans were truly gone. All the fear and legends were just stories after all. My lord, his sensor officer said, we're approaching the Sol system. Preliminary scans show 8 planets as the old records indicate. The 3rd planet is Earth. Good, Graven said. Take us in. Prepare landing forces. I want our flag on Earth's surface by tomorrow. His second-in-command Kravik stepped closer. My lord, what about the message? The one that appeared across the galaxy? A trick, Graven said dismissively. Someone trying to scare us away? There's no one here, Kravik. Look at the scans. These worlds are dead. Kravik wasn't so sure, but he said nothing. Graven was his commander, and Krovar followed orders. But something felt wrong. The zone was too quiet, too empty, like a predator holding its breath. The Krovar fleet entered the Sol system in a massive formation. Thousands of ships spread out, their sensors sweeping everything. They saw Earth ahead, a blue and green jewel floating in the darkness. It looked peaceful, beautiful, lifeless. Sir, we're detecting structures on the surface, the sensor officer reported. Cities, roads, but no energy signatures. No life signs. Everything is cold. Ruins, Graven said. Just as I expected. Take us into orbit. Begin landing operations. The first wave of Krovar landing craft descended toward Earth. They headed for what looked like an ancient human city. Buildings stood empty, streets were silent. The perfect place to establish a base and begin claiming the planet. The landing craft touched down. Krovar soldiers emerged, weapons ready. They spread out through the abandoned streets, checking buildings and scanning for threats. They found nothing. Just dust and memories. All clear, the ground commander reported. The area is secure. No contacts. None of the city came alive. What the Krovar thought were broken buildings suddenly lit up with power. Gun turrets rose from beneath the streets. Missile launchers emerged from rooftops. The ruins were not ruins at all. They were weapons, and they had been waiting 400 years for this moment. The Krovar soldiers screamed as fire rained down on them. Landing craft exploded. Troops scrambled for cover. Within seconds, half the landing force was destroyed. The rest tried to retreat, but the weapons followed them, precise and merciless. In orbit, Graven watched in horror as his ground forces were annihilated. What is this? Who's shooting? Unknown, my lord. The weapons are automated! They're everywhere. Then space itself changed. From behind Earth's moon, from Jupiter's orbit, from Saturn's rings, from places the Krovar sensors swore were empty, ships appeared. Thousands of them. They materialized out of nothing, their stealth systems deactivating all at once. The Krovar fleet was suddenly surrounded. The human ships were beautiful in a deadly way, sleek, dark, covered in strange patterns that seemed to move. They didn't look like war machines. They looked like predators. Every screen in the Krovar fleet lit up with the same transmission. A woman appeared wearing a simple military uniform with stars on her shoulders. She looked small and fragile, but her eyes were hard as diamonds. "I am Admiral Yuna of the Terran Defense Fleet," she said. "You were warned to stay away. You chose to ignore that warning. You brought war to our home. Now you will learn what war truly means." Graven tried to speak, to threaten, to negotiate, but his words were cut off. The human ships moved. They were fast. Impossibly fast. They turned and accelerated in ways that should have torn them apart. Human fighters, small and deadly, swept through the Krovar formation like hunting birds. Their weapons were unlike anything the Krovar had seen. Beams of twisted space that tore ships apart from the inside. Projectiles that moved faster than light. Missiles that couldn't be stopped or fooled. Commander Taeyang led the fighter attack. His squadron of 50 ships destroyed 200 Krovar fighters in the first minute. The neural interface made him and his ship one being. He thought, and it happened. He saw a target and his weapons fired before his conscious mind even registered the decision. The Krovar shields, proud and strong, meant nothing against human weapons. The gravity beams bypassed them completely. Krovar armor, thick and heavy, crumpled like paper. Human ships danced between enemy fire, their own shields absorbing hits that should have destroyed them. Admiral Yuna watched the battle from her flagship. She felt no joy in the destruction, only grim necessity. The Krovar had to be stopped. The galaxy had to see that humanity was not weak. "Casualty report," she ordered. "Enemy losses at 3,000 ships and climbing. Our losses 0, 0. The word hung in the air. 3,000 Krovar ships destroyed and not a single human ship damaged. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. High Warlord Graven sat in his command chair and felt something he had never felt before. Fear. Real, cold fear that made his hands shake. His fleet had been cut in half. 7,000 ships remained out of 10,000. They were running as fast as their engines could push them, desperate to escape human space. "My lord," Kravik said quietly, "the humans are following us." Graven looked at his screens. Behind them, like ghosts in the darkness, the human fleet pursued. They weren't attacking, just following, watching, waiting. "Why aren't they destroying us?" Graven whispered. Kravik had no answer. The humans could have killed them all. Instead, they let the Krovar run. It was worse than death. It was humiliation. Back at the Galactic Council, chaos ruled. Every species demanded answers. Some wanted to surrender to humanity immediately. Others wanted to form a defensive alliance against them. A few thought they should try to make friends with these mysterious returnees. Captain Hune stood in the observation gallery and watched the debate below. He had been summoned to the council to give his testimony about the derelict colony ship he'd found. Now he understood why. He had found the first proof that humans still existed. The council wanted to know what else he knew. Ambassador Nari found him in the gallery. She moved quietly, sitting beside him without being invited. Up close, Hyun could see the differences now. Her features were slightly different from any species he knew. Her eyes were a warm brown that seemed to see everything. She was human. She had been hiding among them for years. "You found the colony ship," she said. Not a question. A statement. "Yes," Hyun replied. "You left it there for someone to find, didn't you?" Nari smiled. "We left several. We wanted the galaxy to start asking questions. We wanted to prepare people for our return. You were the first to bite the bait." "Why me?" "Because you're curious. Because you're open-minded. Because we need people like you to help bridge the gap between humanity and the rest of the galaxy." Hyun looked at her carefully. "What do you want from me?" "We want you to understand," Nari said. "We're not conquerors. We're not here to rule the galaxy. We just want our place in it back, but we need allies, friends, people who will speak for us when others are afraid." "And you think I'll do that?" "I know you will. Because you've already started." She was right. Hyun had filed his report carefully, emphasizing that the human colony ship showed signs of a peaceful civilization. He had suggested that humans might not be the monsters some legends claimed. He had already chosen a side without realizing it. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we end the Krovar threat once and for all, and we show the galaxy that humanity keeps its word." The human fleet followed the retreating Krovar all the way to their homeworld. Krovar Prime was a massive planet with 3 moons and 12 billion citizens. It was the heart of the Dominion, protected by 5,000 orbital defense platforms and surrounded by minefields and weapon satellites. It was supposed to be impenetrable. Admiral Yuna studied the defenses from her flagship. They were impressive by galactic standards. Strong shields, heavy weapons, good positioning. Against any other fleet, Krovar Prime would be a nightmare to attack. Against humanity's ghost fleet, it was just another obstacle. "Admiral, we could destroy the defense grid in 6 minutes, her tactical officer reported. "Minimal risk to our ships." "No," Yuna said firmly. "We're not here to slaughter civilians. Open a channel, all frequencies. I want every Krovar to hear this." The transmission went out, bypassing Graven's sensors and government controls. Every screen on Krovar Prime showed Admiral Yuna's face. Every radio carried her voice. "People of Krovar Prime," she began. "I am Admiral Yuna of humanity. Your leaders brought war to our home. They attacked Earth, the birthplace of my species. In response, we defeated their fleet. But we are not here for revenge. We are here for justice." She paused, letting her words sink in. On the planet below, billions watched in fear and confusion. Your warlord Graven ordered this invasion. He made the choice. You did not. We hold him responsible, not you. Remove him from power. Surrender him to justice. Accept peace. Do this, and we will leave your world untouched. Refuse, and we will be forced to take more severe action. Yuna gave them 24 hours to decide. On Krovar Prime, in the military command center, Kravik looked at his commander. Graven was pacing, screaming orders, demanding his officers prepare for battle. But Kravik could see it in their eyes. They were done. They had seen what human weapons could do. They knew they couldn't win. "My lord," Kravik said carefully, "perhaps we should consider their offer." Graven whirled on him. "Consider? Consider? We are Krovar. We do not surrender to inferior species." "With respect, my lord, they are not inferior. They are far beyond us. Continuing this fight will only get more of our people killed." "Are you refusing my orders?" Kravik stood straight. This was the moment that would define the rest of his life. "Yes, my lord, I am." He pulled his weapon and pointed it at Graven. Around the command center, other officers did the same. They had all reached the same conclusion. Graven's pride would destroy them all. "You're under arrest," Kravik said, "for war crimes, for endangering the Krovar people, for refusing to acknowledge reality." Graven tried to fight, but it was over. His own soldiers restrained him. Within hours, the military had taken control of the government. Kravik, now acting as temporary leader, sent a message to Admiral Yuna. We surrender. Graven will face trial. We ask for mercy. Aboard her flagship, Yuna received the message and allowed herself to relax slightly. She hadn't wanted to destroy Krovar Prime. Every death would have haunted her. This was better. Send a response, she told her communications officer. Tell them we accept their surrender. Graven will be tried by both human and Krovar judges. Justice must be fair to be real. Lieutenant Hana, a young officer on Yuna's staff, watched the proceedings with wide eyes. She was 23 years old, born on New Busan, and had never left the exclusion zone until now. This was her first time seeing the wider galaxy, her first time witnessing humanity's power used in real conflict. Admiral, she said hesitantly, why are we being so careful? We could just take what we want, we're strong enough. Yuna looked at the young woman with understanding. Because strength without wisdom is just tyranny, Lieutenant. We could conquer the galaxy, but then we'd be monsters, just like the Krovar. We'd be proving every fear about humanity, right? Is that the legacy you want? Hana thought about it and shook her head. No, Admiral. Good. Remember that. Power is easy. Justice is hard. We choose hard. The trial of High Warlord Graven took place on a neutral station, observed by representatives from across the galaxy. 5 Krovar judges and 5 human judges presided. The evidence was overwhelming. Graven had ordered the invasion. He had ignored warnings. He had attacked first. The Krovar judges sentenced him to life imprisonment. The human judges agreed. Graven would spend the rest of his days in a Krovar prison, a warning to future would-be conquerors. Captain Junho commanded one of the human battleships that enforced the peace. His ship, Inchen's Fury, was assigned to help maintain order in Krovar space during the transition. He worked alongside Krovar officers who were still getting used to the idea that humans were real and powerful. One of them, a young Krovar named Helvik, approached him on the joint command deck. Captain, may I ask a question? Of course, Junho said. Why did you let so many of our ships escape at Earth? You could have destroyed us all. Junho smiled sadly. Because we wanted you to go home and tell everyone what you saw. We wanted the galaxy to know humanity was back, but we also wanted them to know we're not mindless killers. War should always be the last choice, not the first. Your people are strange, Helvik said. Powerful but gentle, deadly but merciful. I don't understand. That's okay, Junho replied. We spent 400 years learning to balance those things. Give yourself time. Dr. Sumi traveled to the Galactic Science Council with a gift. She brought medical technology that humans had developed during their isolation, cures for 3 diseases that had plagued various species for centuries. She offered them freely, asking nothing in return. Why? Asked one of the alien scientists. This technology is worth billions. You could demand anything. We could, Sumi agreed. But we won't. Humanity's goal isn't wealth, it's cooperation. We want to be part of the galactic community, not rulers of it. These cures are our way of saying we come in peace. The gesture rippled across the galaxy. Species that had feared human power began to see human generosity. It wasn't just their weapons that were advanced, it was their entire civilization. Commander Taeyang found himself stationed at a joint military base with pilots from 6 different species. At first they were afraid of him. His fighter could defeat a dozen of theirs. His neural interface made him superhuman. But Taeyang wasn't arrogant. He was patient. He taught them techniques. He shared tactics. He made friends. One night, over drinks in the base cantina, a pilot from the Valdari asked him, "What was it like, hiding for so long, watching the galaxy and not being part of it?" Taeyang thought carefully. "Lonely. We saw you all living and growing and changing. We wanted to join you, but we were afraid. We'd almost gone extinct. We needed time to heal, to rebuild, to become strong enough that we'd never be vulnerable again. And now? Now we're ready. Now we're home." The galaxy expected humanity to stop after the Krovar surrendered. They had won their war. They had proven their point. Most species would have declared victory and gone home. But Admiral Una surprised everyone. She didn't order the Ghost Fleet to return to human space. Instead, she gave a different command. Prepare for pursuit operations. We're going to finish this. Her officers looked at her in confusion. Lieutenant Hanna spoke up, her voice uncertain. Admiral, the war is over. Graven is in custody. The Krovar have surrendered. The Krovar Dominion has surrendered, Una corrected. But there are still Krovar military bases scattered across 50 systems. There are still weapons, stockpiles, and warships under the control of officers who haven't gotten the message. If we leave them alone, someone will try to restart the war. We need to ensure peace is complete. She turned to face her entire command staff. We didn't come this far to do half the job. The galaxy is watching. They need to see that when humanity makes a promise, we keep it. We promise to end the Krovar threat. We will. The Ghost Fleet moved out, heading toward Krovar territory. They weren't alone. Captain Junho commanded a squadron of 20 human battleships, but he was surprised when 50 Valdari ships requested permission to join them. Then came ships from other species. The Mekron, the Pahlavi, the Centauri Union. All wanted to help secure the peace. Looks like we're making friends, Junho's tactical officer observed. Junho nodded. Or they want to keep an eye on us. Either way, it's a start. The combined fleet arrived at the first Krovar military station. It was a fortress in space armed with enough weapons to destroy a small fleet. The commander there, a Krovar officer named Morvac, refused to surrender. He didn't believe the war was really over. He thought it was human propaganda. Prove to me that Graven truly surrendered, Morvac demanded over the open channel. Prove this isn't a trick. Kravik, the new leader of the Krovar people, appeared on the transmission. He looked tired but determined. Morvac, this is Acting Warlord Kravik. I order you to stand down. The war is over. Humanity defeated us fairly. More fighting will only kill more of our people. Surrender. Morvac stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he powered down his weapons. I surrender. But I want to speak with a human commander face to face. I want to look them in the eye. An hour later, Morvac stood in a shuttle bay and watched as a human shuttle landed. The door opened and Captain Junho walked out. Morvac had expected something scary, something alien and terrible. Instead, he saw a man who looked tired and sad. A man who clearly didn't enjoy war any more than Morvac did. Captain Junho, the human said, offering his hand in a human gesture of greeting. Morvac had learned about it. He took the hand and shook it. Your people are truly as the legend said, Morvac admitted. Strong, honorable. I thought such things were just stories. Legends always have some truth in them, Junho replied. But we're not perfect, Morvac. We're just trying to do the right thing. Help us secure the peace and we'll help your people rebuild. Morvac agreed. His forces joined the fleet. Over the next 3 weeks, 18 more Krovar military bases surrendered peacefully. Only 2 required force, and even then, the human fleet disabled their weapons without killing anyone. Every action was calculated to show strength without cruelty, power without arrogance. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Nari worked day and night to build the framework for permanent peace. She met with representatives from dozens of species, answering questions, addressing concerns, building trust one conversation at a time. Council Speaker Velthrin became her strongest ally. The old diplomat had initially feared humanity's return. Now he saw opportunity. You're changing everything, he told her over tea one evening. The entire balance of galactic power has shifted. We don't want power over others, Nari said firmly. We want partnership, equality, mutual benefit. I believe you, Velthrin replied. But many don't. They see your weapons, your ships, your technology. They're afraid you'll use it to dominate us all eventually. Nari sighed. Then we need to prove them wrong. Actions, not words. We need to show what humanity really stands for. An opportunity came sooner than expected. A colony world called Thavan 7, home to 3 million people from the peaceful Thavani species, was hit by a massive earthquake. Their infrastructure collapsed. Buildings fell. Thousands were trapped in the rubble. The Galactic Relief Council sent out a call for help, but most species were days away. The human fleet was only 6 hours away. Admiral Una didn't hesitate. All ships change course for Thavan 7. Prepare rescue and medical teams. Move fast. Colonel Jiwan commanded the Human Marine Division. Her people were trained for combat, but they were also trained for rescue operations. Within hours of arriving at Thaven 7, her Marines were on the ground, working alongside local emergency services. The Thaveni were a small species, barely a meter tall with fragile bodies. The humans looked like giants to them, and at first many Thaveni were afraid, but fear turned to gratitude as they watched human Marines lift massive chunks of concrete with powered armor, dig through rubble with their bare hands, and treat the injured with incredible gentleness. One Marine, a young woman named Somin, found a Thaveni child trapped under a collapsed building. The child was crying, terrified. Somin carefully cleared the debris, talking softly the whole time. "It's okay. I've got you. You're safe now. I won't let anything hurt you." When she pulled the child free, the little Thaveni wrapped tiny arms around her neck and wouldn't let go. Somin carried her to the medical station, still whispering words of comfort. The image was captured by news drones and spread across the galaxy. A human soldier, armored and armed, cradling a frightened child with infinite care. It became the defining image of humanity's return. Not warriors, not conquerors, protectors. Over 3 days, the human fleet saved over 15,000 Thaveni lives. Dr. Sumi arrived with medical supplies and technology. She set up a field hospital and trained local doctors in human medical techniques. When the crisis ended, the Thaveni government offered to pay for the assistance. Admiral Yuna refused payment. "We helped because it was right. No other reason needed." The gesture resonated across the galaxy. Species that had been suspicious of humanity began to reconsider. Maybe these returning humans really were different. Captain Hyun watched it all from his new ship and felt pride swell in his chest. His crew was mixed now, 5 species working together. At first it had been awkward. Different languages, different customs, different ways of thinking. But they were learning. His pilot, a Valdari named Kelsor, turned to him one day. "Captain, I must admit something. When I first heard humans were real, I was terrified. The old stories made you sound like demons. But working with you, seeing what your people do, you're not demons. You're heroes," Hyun smiled. "We're not heroes either. We're just people trying to survive and help others do the same. Just like you." "Perhaps," Kelsor said, "but you do it better than most." Commander Tae-yang led a mission to map unexplored regions of space beyond the galactic rim. His squadron of stealth fighters, accompanied by science ships from 6 species, searched for new worlds and potential threats. They found both. On a remote planet, they discovered ruins of an ancient civilization. Not human, not any known species, something older, something that had died out millions of years ago. The ruins contained technology and information that could benefit the entire galaxy. Taeyang's orders were clear. Secure the site, share the findings. Don't claim it for humanity alone. When alien scientists arrived, Taeyang welcomed them and gave them full access. One of them, a researcher named Volek, was surprised. "Your people could keep this technology for yourselves. You could maintain your advantage." "We could," Taeyang agreed, "but that's not who we are. Knowledge should be shared. Everyone benefits when we learn together." Volek studied the human for a moment. "Your species truly is different. Most powerful peoples become arrogant. You became humble. We almost went extinct," Taeyang said quietly. "That teaches you humility fast. We learned that survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about being smart enough to work together." Back on New Busan, Admiral Yuna attended a ceremony honoring the human personnel who had served in the Krovar conflict. Medals were awarded. Speeches were given. But Yuna's mind was elsewhere. She was thinking about the future. Lieutenant Hana found her after the ceremony. "Admiral, you look worried. Is something wrong?" "Not wrong," Yuna said. "Just thinking. We've accomplished so much in such a short time. We ended a war. We saved lives. We built alliances. But this is just the beginning, Hana. The easy part." "The easy part?" Hana looked confused. "That was easy?" Yuna smiled. "Fighting is simple. You have a clear enemy, a clear goal. Win or lose. But peace? Peace is complicated. Now we have to live with other species. Work with them. Solve problems together. Deal with misunderstandings and disagreements. That's much harder than war." "Do you think we can do it?" Hana asked. "I think we have to," Yuna replied. "The alternative is going back into hiding, and we didn't survive 400 years just to hide forever." Terra Accords were officially signed in a massive ceremony on the neutral station Harmony Point. Representatives from 97 species attended. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the first galactic summit in a century took place on New Busan. It was a deliberate choice. Humanity opened its hidden world to the galaxy, showing everyone what they had built during 400 years of isolation. Leaders from 130 species arrived in ships of every design. They stared in wonder at the human cities that blended technology with nature. Gardens hung from towering buildings. Rivers ran through urban centers. Everything was clean, efficient, and beautiful. This wasn't a militarized fortress. This was a civilization that had spent centuries perfecting the art of living well. Council Speaker Veltrin walked through the capital city with Ambassador Nari as his guide. "This is remarkable," he said. "You've created something truly special here." "We had time," Nari replied. "When you're hiding, you can't expand outward. So we expanded inward. We made every world, every city, every building the best it could be. Quality over quantity." "And now?" Veltrin asked. "Now that you're no longer hiding?" Nari smiled. "Now we share what we learned. We help others build better lives. That's the real power, Speaker. Not weapons. Not ships. The power to improve existence for everyone." The summit gathered in a massive chamber built into the side of a mountain. Through transparent walls, attendees could see forests and waterfalls. It was designed to inspire peace and cooperation. Admiral Yuna stood at the podium and addressed the assembled leaders. "Welcome to New Busan," she began. "Welcome to humanity's home. For 4 centuries we hid here, afraid and wounded, but we never stopped hoping. Never stopped dreaming of the day we could rejoin the galactic community. That day has come." She paused, looking at the diverse faces watching her, some curious, some friendly, some still uncertain. "I know many of you still have questions, still have doubts. You wonder what humanity really wants. Let me be clear. We want peace. We want partnership. We want to build a future where every species can thrive. We have the strength to take what we want. But we choose to earn your trust instead." The speech continued for an hour. Yuna outlined humanity's vision for the Terra Alliance. Not a dominion, not an empire. A true coalition where every species had equal voice and equal rights. The stronger members would protect the weaker. The advanced would help the developing. Everyone would benefit from everyone else's strengths. When she finished, the chamber erupted in applause. Not polite diplomatic clapping. Real enthusiastic support. Something had changed in the galaxy. Hope had returned. Captain Hyun attended the summit as part of the Valdari delegation. He found himself sitting next to Commander Taeyang during one of the breaks. The two had become friends over the past months despite coming from different species. "It's strange," Hyun said. 6 months ago I thought you were extinct. Now we're partners, allies, maybe even friends," Taeyang grinned. "Life comes at you fast." "But yeah, friends. Good ones, I hope." "The best," Hyun agreed. "Your people saved my life last month during that pirate raid. I won't forget that." "You would have done the same for us," Taeyang said. "That's what the alliance means. We have each other's backs." Across the summit hall, Dr. Sumi presented her latest work. She had spent months collaborating with scientists from 40 species, combining human knowledge with alien insights. The results were stunning. New medicines, new energy systems, new ways of growing food. Each discovery made possible because different perspectives worked together. "This is just the beginning," Sumi told the gathered scientists. "Imagine what we could accomplish if we dedicated ourselves fully to cooperation. We could solve problems that have plagued the galaxy for millennia. Disease, hunger, energy shortages. Together we can fix all of it." A Mecron scientist raised one of his 6 arms. "Doctor, your generosity is appreciated, but why share so freely? Your people could profit enormously from this technology." Sumi shook her head. "Profit means nothing if the galaxy suffers. Our wealth comes from improving everyone's lives. That's the legacy we want to leave. Not monuments to our power, but better lives for all species." Lieutenant Hana worked security at the summit, coordinating between human and alien forces. It was challenging. Every species had different protocols, different weapons, different ways of doing things. But they made it work through patience and communication. She found herself partnered with a young Krovar officer named Thren. At first it was awkward. The Krovar had been enemies just months ago. But Thren was professional and friendly. He worked hard to prove his people wanted peace. My father died in the Battle of Seoul, Thren told her during a quiet moment. He was a pilot. Your forces destroyed his ship. Hana tensed, unsure what to say, but Thren continued. I don't blame humanity. My father followed orders from a foolish warlord. He died because Graven was too proud to admit he was wrong. But you gave us mercy when you could have destroyed us all. You showed honor. That's why I'm here. I want to serve a better future. Hana felt tears in her eyes. I'm sorry about your father. War is terrible even when it's necessary. Yes, Thren agreed. So let's make sure this peace lasts. Let's make sure no one else loses their father to stupid wars. They shook hands. Two young people from former enemy species, now working together to build something better. The summit concluded with the formation of the Terran Alliance Council. 70 species signed as founding members. More would join in the coming months. The council would oversee mutual defense, trade regulations, scientific cooperation, and dispute resolution. Each member had one vote, regardless of size or power. Even humanity had just one vote, though everyone knew they could influence decisions through their strength. Ambassador Nari was elected as the first alliance coordinator, a position that would rotate between species every 5 years. It was a massive responsibility, but she accepted it gladly. This was what she had worked toward her entire life. We begin a new chapter today, she told the council at their first official meeting, not as separate species competing for resources, but as partners working toward common goals. There will be challenges. There will be disagreements, but if we face them together, with respect and good faith, we will succeed. The real test came 2 months later. A species called the Vorlani, who had not joined the Alliance, launched an attack on a colony world. They wanted the planet's rare minerals and didn't care about the 1 million colonists living there. The Vorlani were strong, nearly as militarily powerful as the Krovar had been. The Alliance had to respond. But how? Admiral Yuna convened the military leadership from 20 species. They debated for hours. Some wanted to crush the Vorlani immediately. Others wanted to negotiate. Still others worried about appearing weak if they didn't respond with overwhelming force. Captain Junho proposed a different approach. We show strength and restraint. We deploy enough force to stop the attack and protect the colonists. But we don't invade Vorlani space. We don't seek revenge. We demonstrate that the Alliance will defend its members but won't become aggressors ourselves. The plan was approved. A mixed fleet of human, Valdari, Krovar, and Mekron ships deployed to the colony world. When they arrived, they found the Vorlani fleet in orbit bombarding the surface. All ships, defensive formation, Junho ordered. Intercept fire aimed at the surface. Do not fire on Vorlani ships unless they target us directly. The Alliance fleet moved between the Vorlani and the planet, their shields absorbing the incoming fire. The Vorlani commander, confused by this response, demanded to know what they were doing. Admiral Yuna appeared on every Vorlani screen. This world is under Alliance protection. Cease your attack immediately or we will be forced to stop you. The Vorlani commander laughed. You're outnumbered. We have 500 ships. You have barely 300. Numbers don't matter, Yuna replied calmly. We have humanity. We have unity. We have purpose. You have aggression and greed. Stop now and we'll forget this happened. Continue and you'll regret it. The Vorlani commander, believing his numbers gave him an advantage, ordered his fleet to attack the Alliance ships. It was a mistake. Commander Taeyang led the fighter squadrons. The human fighters, joined by pilots from 6 species, tore through the Vorlani formation. They disabled ships rather than destroying them when possible, but they were ruthlessly efficient. Within 30 minutes, the Vorlani fleet was crippled, but the Alliance didn't finish them off. Instead, they retreated to defensive positions and waited. The Vorlani commander, sitting in his damaged flagship, finally understood. He had lost. The Alliance could have killed him and all his people. Instead, they showed mercy. We surrender, he transmitted. We were wrong. We apologize. Admiral Yuna accepted the surrender and did something unexpected. She offered the Vorlani membership in the Alliance. Join us, learn from us. Help us build a better galaxy. You made a mistake. Everyone does. But you can choose to be better. The Vorlani commander was stunned. His species had attacked an Alliance world, and instead of punishment, they offered friendship. He accepted on the spot. Within weeks, the Vorlani became the 71st member of the Alliance. The incident sent a message across the galaxy. The alliance would defend its members with strength, but it would also offer redemption to former enemies. It was a new way of thinking about power and justice,